Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Consider yourself officially recruited into the Shape Detective Academy. Look, our mission today is simple. We're going to make exploring the properties of 2D shapes incredibly easy and honestly just completely enjoyable. We're going to treat these geometric figures less like textbook math and more like clues in a thrilling mystery. By the end of our time together, you're going to be looking at the world completely differently, spotting patterns and suspect profiles hiding right in plain sight.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Come on, I learned my shapes years ago. But do you really know them? Let's turn this into a game. We aren't just going to point and name things today. We are going to investigate, compare, and sort them, literally like master detectives organizing a lineup of suspects at the precinct. It's going to be a ton of fun, and I guarantee you'll discover something entirely new about these everyday shapes. Okay, let's dive into this with a quick warm-up. Take a really close look at the grid we've got here. The prompt asks, how many squares can you see? Now, your very first instinct is probably to just quickly count those tiny individual boxes, right? But as a newly minted shape detective, you've got to look deeper. Look for different sizes of squares, not just the obvious ones. Can you spot a square made up of 4 smaller boxes? What about a giant one made up of 9? Or even the massive square outlining the entire grid itself? It's all about shifting your perspective.
To be a top-tier shape detective, well, you can't just say a suspect looks kind of pointy or boxy. We need the right tools. And in this case, our tools are our maths words. These are the specific terms we use to build a precise, undeniable profile of our suspects. And don't worry, they are super easy to grasp. Once you know them, identifying shapes becomes an absolute breeze. Let's break down the most essential ones.
First up on our vocabulary list, vertex. Or, if you have more than one, we call them vertices. I know it sounds a bit complicated, but honestly, it's just a fantastic, fancy mathematical word for a corner. Whenever you trace the edge of a shape and 2 straight sides suddenly crash into each other to form a point, boom, congratulations, you've just found a vertex.
But here's the thing, not all corners are created equal, and that brings us to our next clue, the right angle. Think of a right angle as a very specific, perfectly upright type of corner. If you look at a standard piece of printer paper, or even the corner of your computer screen right now, those perfectly crisp, L-shaped corners, those are right angles. They're absolutely crucial clues for identifying some of our most famous shapes. Our next essential word is equal. In the detective world of shapes, when we say sides are equal, we mean they have the exact same length. Not just close, not kinda similar, but precisely identical. Knowing whether sides are equal or different is literally one of the fastest ways to separate our suspects from one another.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we use these exact words to build a suspect profile. Let's look at the rectangle. We don't just say, oh, it's a long box. No, we use our clues. A rectangle has exactly 4 straight sides. The opposite sides, the ones directly across from each other, are equal in length. It has 4 vertices where those sides meet. And the real kicker? Every single one of those 4 vertices is a perfect right angle. Now that is a foolproof profile.
So the crucial point here is learning how to compare these profiles. I want you to think about a square and the rectangle we just profiled. What's the same about them? Well, they both have 4 straight sides, 4 vertices, and 4 right angles. Pretty suspicious, right? But what is different? This is exactly where the word equal saves the day. You see, a rectangle only needs its opposite sides to be equal, but a square demands that all 4 of its sides are exactly equal in length.
Let's move on and see how this builds into something even bigger. Because squares and rectangles share so many of these traits, they actually belong to the same exclusive geometric family. I like to call it the quadrilateral club. It's basically a VIP section just for a very specific type of 2D shape, and learning to spot its members is incredibly fun.
So, what exactly is a quadrilateral? Well, the clue is right there in the name. Quad means 4, and lateral means side. So any 2D shape that has exactly 4 straight sides gets an automatic membership into this quadrilateral family. Rectangles? Yes. Squares? Yes. But as we'll see in just a second, they definitely aren't the only ones on the guest list.
Now that we have our profiles and our vocabulary totally locked down, it is time for a lineup. A huge part of being a shape detective is being able to quickly organize the evidence. When you're faced with a whole jumble of shapes, triangles, circles, hexagons, rectangles, how do you even start making sense of them? We sort them based on the rules we just learned. The absolute easiest, most enjoyable way to start sorting is with a simple table. We have 2 columns here,
curved side, and straight sides. It makes organizing effortless. A circle? That goes straight into the curved side column. A rectangle or a triangle? They pop right over into the straight sides column. It's a beautifully simple way to cut our giant list of suspects right in half immediately.
But you know, simple tables can only take us so far. What happens when a suspect fits into more than one category at the exact same time? Well, that is when we pull out the ultimate tool for a shape detective, the Venn diagram. This is where the real magic happens, allowing us to sort suspects by multiple rules simultaneously. It might look a little complex at first glance, but I promise it's incredibly enjoyable once you get the hang of it.
Notice the two big overlapping circles. The circle on the left is our rule for quadrilateral, meaning any shape with 4 straight sides belongs in there. The circle on the right is for all sides of equal length. Here's the trick. If a shape follows only the first rule, it goes on the far left. If it follows only the second rule, like an equilateral triangle, which has equal sides but only 3 of them, it goes on the far right. But if it follows both rules, it goes right into that overlapping section right in the middle.
To really test this out, we need to bring in some advanced suspects. Enter the trapezium, the parallelogram, the rhombus, and the kite. These are all VIP members of the quadrilateral club. They all have 4 straight sides for sure, but they all behave a little differently when it comes to their side lengths and angles.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is figuring out exactly where a shape like the rhombus goes in our Venn diagram. Let's look at its profile. A rhombus has 4 straight sides, so it definitely goes into the left quadrilateral circle. But wait, a defining feature of a rhombus is that all 4 of its sides are equal in length. Actually, it's a lot like a square pushed on a slant. That means it also belongs in the right circle. Because it meets both criteria, the rhombus gets placed squarely in the overlapping middle section of the Venn diagram. It's a perfect visual way to understand exactly what makes that shape unique.
You've mastered the vocabulary, you've profiled the suspects, and you've successfully sorted them using advanced detective tools. You are officially a shape detective. But the mystery doesn't end here. I want to leave you with a challenge. Look around the room you're sitting in right this second. What shape clues are hiding in plain sight? Can you spot a quadrilateral? Can you find 4 right angles on your desk or maybe on the wall? The clues are everywhere, just waiting for you to find them. So what shapes are secretly structuring your world right now? Keep those eyes peeled and keep learning.